Welcome once again to Little Bytham. There are one or two things to consider here. Little Bytham, as many people will know, is actually on the East Coast Main Line, and that is just up there. So if we have to brake from time to time because an Azuma goes flying past, then you'll understand. Now, this little piece, I've sort of said locomotives of lockdown, but as you can see here, it's not just locomotives. Now, this is the sort of stuff I've been doing since the end of February, when shows were cancelled and I had lots and lots of time. Not every single locomotive here has been built during lockdown. The wagons have, and in fact the one over here, the furthest one away from me, the pigeon van, is the Isinglass resin van that was featured in BRM recently. A very, very nice kit. The other wagon I've made, this is a Parkside kit. Now, if anybody is considering actually making something in railway modelling, my advice, the best advice I can give, is start with something like this. A simple plastic kit. They're around £12–13, absolute doddle to build, and you can say, I've actually made it. And this is one I made actually at the last show I attended. Here we go. Just think a few years ago that would have been a Deltic. Never mind. Yeah, I made it at the last show we attended, my wife and I attended, which was Preston. So it is just about lockdown, but really fantastic value and easy to build. A carriage I put together is a hybrid. It's Comet sides on top of a donor, which was an old Airfix LMS 57-foot brake third, corridor brake third. It's a slightly different diagram to the RTR one. So in that respect, you can't just buy this out of a box, but quite a simple job, and again, not just with lockdown, but where you have, say, a spare couple of evenings, something you can do. Now, onto the locomotives. I'm particularly pleased to have first look at this. It was sent to me just a few days ago by Mike Trice, and it's a proving model. It's a 3D printed body of a V2. Now, last year and early this year, I reported in BRM about Bachmann's forthcoming new RTR V2, which will be an absolute belter. But with the current situation, how long before we get one of those? So Mike has done this 3D printed V2 body, the intention either to go on an original Bachmann chassis, well, not an original, that's split, the latest Bachmann chassis, but not the forthcoming one. Now, I don't really like RTR chassis, so I put a Comet chassis on this, and it's absolutely beautiful. The body is superb. He's looking at manufacturing them and selling them, but this was a proving model, and it's ideal for this sort of BRM presentation because it's absolutely brand new and nobody has seen this before. And with a Comet chassis and a decent drive, it's really silky smooth. A loco I've completed in lockdown is a Crownline J17. Now, you cannot get this RTR. An excellent kit. I say Crownline because that's what it is, but it's now available from PDK. Now, if you want a J17, there were some older, not so good kits, but this is really excellent. I'm a great believer in horse trading. I'm the son of a Yorkshireman. I'm building this Great Western. This is a Craftsman kit. I don't think they're available anymore, but you can pick them up at eBay or at shows and what have you. So I'm building this for Jeff, and he paints, and he painted this for me in return, part for my building models. And this was a V2 I built late last year, and Jeff has painted it in lockdown. I think you can say that's an excellent job. Another loco I built, another blast from the past, a Mcgowen B12-3. Mcgowen naming kits that usually have people with apoplexy, but they can be made. I picked this up for next to nothing, and what to do when you're self-isolating with time on your hands. I hate daytime TV. I don't think much of evening TV either, and there's not much sport to watch, so build that. Another thing I'm doing is, I wouldn't say resurrecting, not in this case. I built most of this. This is a DJH Hall class for a friend many, many years ago, and he wasn't satisfied with its performance. Now, I can abdicate all responsibility because he actually made the chassis. So what I'm doing is putting a new motor gearbox in this. So that's another sort of thing I've been doing. I've yet to install it, but I hope you'll see on the moving footage, which is part of this presentation, that it runs very well anyway. I just tweaked it, so we may get by without having to fit a new motor in. And Ian Rathbone painted that. This was given to me in February. It was given to the dad of a chap I know. Dad's long since died, about 30 years ago. It's an old MPD 3F, and it didn't go. And he looked at my loco clinic and said, "Can you do anything with that, Tony?" So I did. I built a proper chassis for it. I don't know who built the original chassis, but I can only conclude that his optician was a charlatan. Make of that what you will. And I've resurrected that. And this, another name to have kit builders squirming. Well, a name from the past, but not at the present. The present Millhome range is excellent, much better. But this was given to me by a friend about 3 or 4 weeks ago. It didn't go. It's an old Millhome 2P. You lift it up and you become the world's most perfectly ruptured man, but I got this one to go. I'm absolutely amazed. Now when I say go, that's a relative term. It certainly isn't as sweet as this, or as sweet as that, but for a K's motor, that's astonishing. The point of this? Well, we hear lots now about the cost of model rail equipment. I'm not defending it, I'm not criticising it. It is very, very expensive. But this was given to me, but you can pick these up at shows for really next to nothing. And with a bit of TLC, you can end up with an individual model. So don't look down too much. Now going back to what's available RTR and what isn't. If you look here, we have an A3. Now Hornby makes an excellent A3, I'm not denying that. But their powers of haulage are limited. Now nowhere, to be fair to Hornby or Bachmann or Hellion or any of the others, do they say that their locomotives will pull 14 or 15 kit-built metal coaches. But mine have to. So that's the reason why I build my own locomotives. This one was built during lockdown, built in late February, early March. This one was built just before Christmas, so it's not strictly speaking a lockdown loco, but it was painted at the same time by Jeff, that other A3. They will haul 14, 15 bogies. So that's what I've been doing. One thing I might suggest is, why don't you get in touch with BRM and write into Howard or to Debbie, any of the editorial team, and show them, BRM, what you've been doing during this really strange time. Thank you.